Hey everyone, it's Andy here from Saving to Invest, and today I just wanted to address a number of questions I'm getting for folks on my other videos around tax refunds and the IRS tax schedule. So it's been 21 days and you haven't got your tax refund. Your WMR, where's my refund, or IRS to go is not showing what's happening or it's stuck on one or two bars. And you can see the bars up there from the IRS return received, refund approved, and refund sent. So you want to be at the refund approved bar, but you've just got return received after you submit it. So what I'm going to try and cover in this video is just why this could be happening, and then some tips for contacting the IRS to help find out where your tax refund is. And we've all heard now probably that the IRS says most refunds that have been received, not just filed, but received by the IRS, should get processed within 21 days or 3 weeks for about 90% of taxpayers. This sounds great, but don't forget, if you're in the 10% who don't get it, that's still up to 15 million taxpayers. So you could be impacted and you could be waiting for a refund for more than 21 days. But what I want to show you here is just maybe why this happened, what you could do, and then getting in touch with the IRS after 21 days because they won't probably talk to you before that. That's the standard time for processing. And with stimulus payments and all the other stuff happening, the IRS is quite overburdened at this point. So just be mindful that it may take a bit more than 21 days. So don't freak out. The tax season processing started a bit later this year as well. So that meant that things are delayed more than they normally would. And as always, if the information here is useful to you, please hit the like button. And of course, appreciate you subscribing. And you'll also get the latest videos and updates both here and on my community tab if you subscribe. So I touched on this in a recent video, which I'll post a link to up here, about common refunds for reasons for refund delays. And it's important to understand these reasons because this could be why your delay is happening and why you need to contact the IRS and what you need to discuss with them. So there's obviously many reasons. The IRS has over 100 transaction codes for reasons, and the WMR or IRS To Go app will show you what the reason is. In a lot of times they'll give you a transaction code and a small explanation, but it's not always clear. But what I'm trying to do here is bucket it up into three sort of broad areas that'll help you drill down on next steps. So the most common one is missing, incomplete, or incorrect information. So missing or incomplete information generally happens for those who paper file. And when you paper file, the IRS says it could take even longer, up to 6 weeks before you get your refund, just because it's very manual. It has to go through someone. It doesn't use a lot of the automated computer checks that e-filing allows you to do. So this is the biggest reason. And when you're manually filling in a refund, you could miss a number, you could use the wrong social security SSN number. And that's why I always recommend, and so does the IRS, that you should use electronic filing. That's TurboTax, HR Block, TaxApp, one of those big guys. And I have some links down there because they're supporters of this site. So please, consider e-filing if you can. And most people e-file now, so this is not a big deal. But if you have incomplete or missing information, this is the number one reason for refund delays, because it then has to go through additional processing, manual checks. There may be some correspondence between the IRS and you, and this could delay the whole process. And a lot of times, the code that may show for this is not always very clear. The other one is incorrect information. And so for this, so even if you use an automated tool like TurboTax or HR Block, it's still possible to make a mistake if you're inputting information manually. For example, let's say you manually input the information from your W-2, which you got from employer, and you earn 50,000. But over the year, but you accidentally put in 51,000 or 59,000, just the wrong number. When the IRS does its cross checks between what you submitted versus what they got from your employer, and they see the numbers don't match, then this will get flagged and it could delay the refund. Now the IRS can contact you and they'll follow up. The code will probably tell you what to do. If it's a few cents, they'll tend to manually fix it and just process it. They have the right to do that, but they will then probably require you to submit an amended return if your information is significantly off. So check your W-2s, make sure you're putting in the right information because your employer submit the same information. And if you're a contractor or a gig worker, you get a 1099, there's even more chance of this happening. So just be aware, this is the number one reason, just the incorrect information is entered both for income or any liabilities you have as well. One thing I didn't touch here is why your refund could be lower, and that's coming up in another video. So if you hit the subscribe or like button, you'll see that. But there's something what they call refund offsets that could lower your tax refund. That doesn't mean it'll delay, but it could be lowered. But that's a discussion for a separate video. The other one which is causes, and this is getting more and more common, especially in the electronic world we live in, is that your return has been flagged for additional identity and security checks. So this could happen for many reasons. This can actually happen because the IRS suspects identity theft. Your SSN or your name could have been flagged in one of their databases they use to check for identity theft. And these filters, a lot of them automatically run. They could sometimes delay returns and tax refunds until you're able to verify your identity. So if this happens, you'll usually get what they call a letter 5071C asking you to verify your identity. So until the IRS can reinstate its online identity process, which is automated, you'll have to verify your identity using this process. And if you've been caught in this in previous years, it may happen again this year. So it's unfortunate, and this used to cause several weeks of delays. It's getting a little bit better now, but you may need to keep doing this until the IRS is sure that you're the right person. And given the electronic world we live in, they'll be asking you to provide last year's tax return, contact information, something that will uniquely identify you. So you'll have to provide this through 5071C. Now again, please be aware, don't respond to emails from other sources. It should be an official letter that comes from the IRS. It won't be an email or a text. It'll be a letter. So just be mindful of this. And this is becoming one of the main reasons for delays, is just that people's refunds are getting flagged for identity and security checks. The other one, which is cause issues, especially early in the tax season, is if your tax contains the earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit, the IRS has to wait a few weeks into tax season before processing that. And that could delay your refund by 2 or 3 weeks beyond what the IRS filing and processing date is. So this is probably less of an issue as the tax season goes on, but upfront, especially people who file early, they say, why haven't I got it in 21 days? It's probably because you had this earned income or additional child tax credit, which, according to the PATH law, which was enacted by Congress, they have to essentially go and check it, validate that this is the dependents you have, you're claiming the right people. So it does add time to your refund. Now, the IRS does say once they get it, they do this check, it should come through pretty quickly. But this is a major reason for a lot of people getting delays in their refunds, especially early on in the tax season. And the other one, which is sort of related to this, is if your tax return was under audit from a previous year, which means it was flagged for either a detailed audit or a mail audit, it can also cause delays because it gets flagged essentially in the database that you're under audit, so you get more scrutiny this year. And if they find things that don't add up, your income doesn't add up or your deductions don't add up, you'll probably get a delay in your refund being processed. And ultimately, all these things can happen on the same return, but these are the three broad reasons that refunds are delayed. So your refund's delayed more than 21 days, and I keep saying that. You need to contact the IRS. So how should you do this, right? When should you do this? So I've reiterated this before because I get a lot of comments on this. You just don't call them if it's been a week. I know everyone needs their money and people are waiting for their refund, but you have to wait for 21 or more business days. Now, they don't specify business days or working days. I would say business days to be safer. Since you e-filed and your return was accepted, not just when you e-filed. So you may have e-filed with your provider, and the clock does not start until the IRS accepts the return, which is where they've done some basic checks. So that's important to understand that distinction. Now, you can see from my other video, I talk about the WMR statuses of the IRS as what it goes through. Your return received is the first status, which means the IRS accepted it. So the clock starts ticking then, 21 days starts from then. So that's when you can go and call the IRS. The other option is this could happen sooner if the IRS has accepted it and then starts processing it and finds fraud or something. They'll probably have a message on WMR telling you contact us. If they say that, then you can contact the IRS. You'll have a code, you'll have a reference, so you should use that when you contact the IRS. Again, be very careful. Fraud is everywhere for refunds nowadays, so make sure if you get that notice, it's in the WMR or IRS refund app. You shouldn't get any email or something else. It should be an official source, and it should come in the mail as well to you about the issue if the IRS has to talk to you. Most importantly, do not file a second tax return. So a lot of people, when they have a delay more than 21 days, they freak out. Oh, where's my refund? I'm not getting it. I'll just file another return. Don't. That'll just mess up the process and delay things. Wait for 21 days, contact the IRS. Do not file a second tax return or an amended tax return if you think you've made a mistake. Wait till you get the feedback from the IRS. If you've made a mistake with your income or you didn't claim a credit or you need to get a deduction, wait till you hear back from the IRS. You can file an amended return after that. And that's a 104/X. And I'll talk about that later on. Finally, some comments for if you enter the wrong bank information, and given that most returns are now done through electronic means and the refunds are direct deposited, you can call the IRS to stop the direct deposit if you had put the wrong information in or you suddenly had to change it. This is assuming the IRS does not or have all the refund to refund sent. At that point, it's hard. Then you'll have to go to a form 3911. Again, all these forms are available on the IRS site. I'll put some links down below, but you can actually do this to stop the payment going to a certain bank account. Again, this just depends if the IRS hasn't processed it already. And then 391 is if you have processed it, then there's a process which could then obviously take several weeks to go through for you to get that, for the IRS to get that refund from the financial institution and then get it to you. Just make sure you enter the right bank account information, ideally. So to contact the IRS, this is from the IRS website. Please double check it, make sure it's all legitimate. You'll always see it ends with 1040, 10, that's the tax file number. You can call the IRS toll free 800-829-1040 any weekday between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. your local time. So East Coast, West Coast, Pacific time. This is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in your local time zone. You will be required to verify your identity and have your prior return ready because they'll ask you what was, for example, your income from last year or certain information that's unique to your tax return, plus obviously your social and your address details. But have these two items ready. You're having a prior tax return. I would suggest you just print it out, at least the first few pages, so you have that with you. And then in waiting time, I have a whole post on different tactics and tricks to get in touch with them faster. But generally, what I'm seeing is people are waiting 15 to 30 minutes plus. It depends on the time of the year. During the tax filing season, the IRS does have a lot more people on. The call centers are staffed more heavy, so you actually can get through faster during tax season. After tax season, that's after April, May to sort of December, it's a little harder because they do have less staff. But generally, it can take 15 to 30 minutes. And like I said, there's some tips and tricks to contact them, but ultimately, it's what you need is some patience. It'll take time, and given all the stimulus processing that's happening and all the other rebates that are placed with all the other programs happening, things would take longer. People are saying Monday, Tuesday are the busiest days of the week, so try contacting later. Do it after hours where it's closer around 6 p.m. You'll get through to someone. You may have to have multiple. Be patient. Have your cell phone, multitask, do something, wash the dishes while you're waiting to call, but it could take some time. And I'll post a link to a full article on tips and tricks people have used to try and contact the IRS quicker. So I also realized that you can call the IRS, you can get frustrated, you can't get through, even if you get through to someone, or if you get through to someone, it's not always helpful. So if you cannot get through to an agent or an agent cannot help you, you can also go visit your local IRS office. Now, I understand during the pandemic, it could have been hard to do this and the offices are not always open, so definitely check. But the IRS does operate local taxpayer assistance centers in many states, especially during the tax season. So they do say in every state, but I know it's not open in every state all the time, and the hours sometimes can vary. But go to their IRS website, and then you can search for contact your local office, and then you can see which address and what the phone number is. And again, this is really useful if you want to talk to someone live. You have a very complex case. I know some of our elderly folks use this service. It's much easier than trying to be on a phone for 15 minutes. People with disabilities, this is definitely a useful avenue if you have a local office near you. And again, search on the IRS site for something local to your area. But one thing I'll note here is you just can't turn up. It's not like the DMV, and especially being through the pandemic, you have to make an appointment. You have to schedule this, and the number here is 844-545-5640. This is a generic call center number. You call them, and they'll tell you how to make an appointment for your local office. So this can help you if you have a slightly more complex case or you want to talk to someone live. And ultimately, if you can't get through to an agent or the local office is not able to help you, or you're just frustrated because your return has been stuck or your refund has not been paid for several weeks or several months, you can actually call the Taxpayer Advocate Service. And I've heard this has actually helped a lot of people. So the Taxpayer Advocate Service, TAS, is basically an independent organization within the IRS. It's funded by Congress to help people with their tax problems. They also publish a report every year on issues people are seeing. So if you're really a tax nerd like me, you can go look at that report. It tells you some of the challenges that the IRS has around processing returns, so you're not alone in that. But they can help you with tax problems. Now, this does not replace getting an accountant or a lawyer if you have very complicated issues, and I think that they can only help to a certain point. But this is a good service, especially for those lower income people And every state has at least one local task center, again, like the local IRS office. They're independent of the IRS office, so they're not the same organization, and they have certain privacy rules. If you talk to them, you don't feel like the IRS is going to hear that. So there is that certain delineation. And I'll post an article I've written on the Taxpayer Advocate Service and why it could be good for some people. But definitely use this option. It's free. So it's really helpful to those people who are just struggling to get the refund and need someone to talk to, someone who can help them that does not work for the IRS. So hopefully that information was useful to you. I know I covered a lot. I had to be a little bit general because every situation is different. I'll post some more links here. If you liked it, please hit the like button. And like I said, subscribe to get more videos like this on the various topics I talk about. Thank you. Bye-bye.